My name is Wayne Walker. I head up the data experience here at Medidata, which basically oversees the development of business around data acquisition across the platform, how you manage and review and ultimately transform and deliver that data in your clinical research. We're going to be covering a number of topics today in this webinar, and can't reiterate enough the Q&A option here within this webinar. We are going to try and get to as many of those questions as we possibly can. If you have questions on the content, feel free to put them in that Q&A box, but also anything to do with AI in clinical research, even proposing thoughts, your opinion on these things. We're more than welcome to address those or have a little dialogue on those at the end of the webinar. So let me just set the scene here a little bit. For those that are familiar with Medidata, you know we've been in the sort of clinical research, running global clinical trials for over 25 years. AI is not new to us. In 2017, we used AI to validate the use of external control in an external control arm. And that was just really the beginning of our journey. In 2019, we launched an organization within Medidata called Acorn AI that really freed up the clinical trial data to service our clinical research and to surface key insights and accelerate the study design and planning process. And then in 2024, anybody that attended our next series of events, we launched what we termed AI Everywhere, which is basically powering your experience when you actually execute capabilities on our platform, and really leveraging the 36,000 plus trials that we've conducted, unleashing the power of that data that's touched 11 million patients and over 70 billion data points. We're really looking to see how AI can touch every part of the clinical trial process, really to improve the way that we work and interact with colleagues, sites, and patients, really informing sort of key decisions and accelerating workflows, and really automating manual and burdensome tasks. And part of that sort of, the unique approach on the AI Everywhere strategy that we have is sort of driven and delivering a number of key things in our platform. One is we do have unparalleled clinical trial data, as I mentioned, over 35,000 clinical studies with all of that patient and operational data in our platform. And with that, we are really delivering and developing purpose-built AI capabilities for clinical trials. A number of the conferences talk theoretically around AI, but we're delivering value to our users and our customers right at the area that they need it. And we'll be going over some of those key deliverables here in this webinar. Through the sort of strategy that we had with Acorn AI, we brought on a lot of data scientists with deep AI expertise, and they are embedded with our teams to deliver these capabilities on the platform. But also we have AI that you can trust. And what I mean by that is the data that you all manage every single day is a higher level of accuracy and has gone through a really regulatory grade review, ultimately for you to submit to regulatory authorities for approval. And that has a far higher level of quality through that process than maybe if you unleashed AI on real world data. It's untouched in its accuracy and validity. Let's go to the next slide. So now we're going to sort of touch on the three areas here of where we derive value from AI. The AI capabilities are thoughtfully sort of embedded throughout our platform, really surfacing the right insight at the right time, modeling outcomes before patients are enrolled, and automating tasks to help teams move faster and ultimately deliver life-saving therapy sooner. So we're going to split it into three areas. One is study design, one is study startup, and the other area is study conduct. So if we tackle the sort of area of study design and really in financial forecasting, we're leveraging an AI-assisted budget management standardization by phase and indication, and machine learning is based forecasting of clinical trials budget, responsive to variations in patients and visits. Also, later this year, with Intelligent Trials, Medidata will offer AI-assisted budget management tools based on your schedule of activities and industry metrics. In the sort of clinical data insights, we're leveraging AI-assisted scenario-based modeling and machine learning are used to identify trends within historical clinical trial data for use cases, including conducting surrogate endpoint analysis, selecting optimal endpoints, refining inclusion-exclusion criteria, and assisting in predicting and grading the likelihood and severity of adverse events within a specific patient population. With synthetic control arms, we're leveraging AI-assisted coding of adverse events and WHO drug names of historical clinical trial data, AI-assisted propensity score model selection to determine best candidates within historical clinical trial data for an external control arm. This can reduce the number of patients required to participate in a control arm of standard of care, as affirmed by the FDA, where they've already approved or used a synthetic control arm for approval in a phase 3 registrational trial. In simulants, we're leveraging generative AI to create synthetic data sets that faithfully mimic the real underlying historical clinical trial data, really allowing clinical development teams to access the insights contained within historical clinical trial data while preserving the patient privacy and sponsor IP. And then in the protocol optimization, we're balancing scientific objectives with operational feasibility by using AI to benchmark your protocol for complexity and burden against similar studies and optimize your protocol using AI predictive modeling to quantify how specific activities impact operational outcomes like enrollment, retention, and cost. When I go next to the startup area, that we'll get into some of this as well in a little bit here, we're using AI to generate test data to really accelerate study build timelines by up to 75% with synthetic patient data, auto-generated edit checks and test cases, really speeding up the design, testing, and validation of study objects. And then when we go to the sort of country and site prioritization, we're leveraging AI predictive modeling based on real-time and historical clinical trial data to identify optimal countries and sort of site heuristics that you should choose, which lends into site selection, really accelerating enrollment by 30% by confidently selecting the right sites with AI-powered forecasting based on real-time site-level enrollment and, as importantly, the congestion data, not just study-level estimates. Diversity analytics. So we use AI-powered forecasting to identify sites with a proven track record of enrolling diverse patients, helping you meet both your enrollment timelines and your diversity goals. We have wet ink and remote consent, which automatically maps fields using AI to accelerate the form building by, again, up to 75%, and we'll be touching on that here in a little bit. And then study build workflows, leveraging AI-powered insights for proactive configuration guidance, speeding study setup, and ensuring consistency across your clinical trials. If we go into the study conduct there next, around study management, where we have real-time AI-assisted to-do lists, visualizations, and recommendations which release site burden. Live study analytics, live study forecasting allows teams to use AI-powered models to track study enrollment and reforecast based on actual study performance and changing industry conditions. Essential document management. AI classifies documents and predicts appropriate placement within the eTMF structure. Patient and site data acquisition and management really unlock greater efficiency and accuracy in data capture, including AI-driven solutions that automate PHI redaction and de-identification of imaging, and AI-powered transcription and error detection of clinician-administered CNS assessments that's recently been released in a partnership with a company called Cogstate. Medical coding that we'll get into in a little bit as well, where we've proven that it can save 70 hours per 1,000 terms with terms coded with AI-powered medical coding that provides smart suggestions with confidence scores for drug, symptom, and procedure codes. It learns from your data and can auto-code when confidence is high, reducing manual work without compromising standards. Audit trail review, which we're going to cover here in a second as well, where we're leveraging AI and large language models to translate what your asks are of the audit trail to comply with regulatory requirements of study oversight. In the data review and transformation and reconciliation, we've proven to reduce cycle times by 80% with faster, more consistent data review and reconciliation across your trial data sets. And then lastly on this slide, RBQM, leveraging AI-enhanced RBQM provides greater risk reduction with less burden placed on study teams. So here we're going to get more specific into the data management AI benefits here. So first of all, in the startup, we're in the study build, we're using AI-powered insights for sort of proactive configuration guidance, speeding study setup, and ensuring consistency across your trials. We're releasing synthetic test data and edit checks, which will accelerate study build timelines by up to 75%, as mentioned earlier. We're going to get into the, did we lose a part of a slide there? Sorry, let me just, okay. Where in the conduct phase, patient and site data acquisition and management, unlocking greater efficiency in data capture, including AI-driven solutions that automate PHI. Sorry about that. So these are all capabilities that we're going to get into here in a second that really drive the efficiency and place AI in the user's hands so that they can trust the outputs that are used in the metadata platform. So let's get into the first area here, which is basically leveraging AI for e-consent form building, where we're leveraging AI to automatically map fields using AI to accelerate the form building. So the AI analyzes the document and automatically detects a couple of things. One is who needs to sign that document, whether that be the patient, the caregiver, the clinician. All is leveraging AI to determine who actually needs to sign that. And then the second thing is the fields that are required, whether for example, the name, the date, whether there are checkboxes required for these consent options. And this really removes the need for manual tagging or setup by a site or a sponsor, and helps with faster site activation, less time spent preparing consent documents. Consistency ensures that all forms are configured correctly and uniformly. And then the scalability, easier to roll out updated or study-specific informed consent forms across many sites or studies. The next example here is, and we've touched on this a little bit with the faster study builds, is really leveraging AI to automatically configure your eCRFs. We've already had releases in this space this year. In April, we leveraged AI that simply by the inputting of the edit check requirement, we're using AI to read that and actually configure your edits. And that's already proven to have quite remarkable outcomes in the efficiency around configuring those edits. But we're not stopping there. In next week, I think it is, at the end of June, we're going to be releasing within our product called Designer the ability to generate test cases. So a lot of your users' time are spent taking those edit checks and then creating pass-fail test cases for those edits. So whether they're automatically configured using AI or you've manually configured an edit check, you'll be able to simply push a button and you'll have those pass-fail test cases generated. But again, we're not stopping there. The next step in that phase is actually entering that data into EDC to execute those test cases. We're going to be automating that at the end of the year, and then ultimately consume the protocol for protocol digitization that will read that and create all of the schedule assessments, the activities, the date parameters that they are, the window that they need to be conducted. So at that point, we will then auto-generate your eCRFs. So ultimately, you're almost getting to a one-button push of your eCRF and edit check configuration, and then ultimately the testing of all those components on the metadata platform. The next area I want to touch on is, hold on here, sorry, imaging. So we have developed, leveraging our 1 billion images that we have on our platform, an auto lesion detection algorithm that ultimately measures not only the measures the bidimensional and volume metrics of those tumors to measure disease progression and regression. We're also leveraging AI to redact any PHI and de-identification data on that image, which will ultimately streamline your RECIST assessments within the imaging tool on the Medidata platform. The next area is the coding tool within the Medidata platform. And I mentioned this earlier, but this has been the tool that has had the longest use of AI. We actually released a version of our coding tool about 3 years ago, I believe, that provided suggestions based on an AI algorithm. At that point, it was about 60 million coded terms. We're up to about 90 million now. And provided, based on a confidence level, the three options and suggestions for that term. We've now leveraged that data within our new coding tool called Coda Plus to go a step further, where now you can automate that task that not only gives you time savings on the actual coding of that data, but also gives you downstream benefits. A lot of coding is performed in a batch manner, which means to get insights to those terms that are being collected on your clinical trial, you have to wait for that sort of batch coding by your coding teams. With auto coding, that sort of added meaning to those terms that are collected are available to you right away. And that not only can be used in a more real-time evaluation of sort of patient safety and efficacy during your clinical trial, but also downstream, where you may be sending a safety case to regulatory authorities. Well, now that coding, that term is coded right at the time of input onto the platform, so you're not waiting for that update to be sent. It's there in real time. So the next is sort of data oversight and data reconciliation. This was released also last year, where a lot of your teams are spending time reconciling things like AEs, ConMeds, medical history, that type of manual data reconciliation. Even just printing out those data for manual review is extremely time consuming. What we've released is not only a place where all of that data is available to you, that you can look at and investigate as you see fit, but also you'll see here where we've highlighted with a level of confidence based on AI, whether there is an inconsistency between the AE that's been entered and that there is no ConMed related to that AE. So not only giving you a better experience with presenting that data all in one place, but also a companion that allows you to look at these outliers or inconsistent data. You give a thumbs up or thumbs down to say whether that was inconsistent or not, and then that feeds back into the algorithm that over time it gets more and more accurate. Let's go to the next slide here. Okay, so now we'll get into audit trail review. It's been a long time ask from regulatory authorities of how we conduct oversight by looking at the audit trail for things like anomalies in activity, potential fraud. And right now, our teams have been doing that with somewhat what I call Excel gymnastics. They're downloading these large data sets, some of which may not even fit into Excel, and using filtering or pivot tables and all sorts of Excel brilliance to try and look at that audit trail for those components of oversight based on your process. We've not only, again, presented the audit trail data in a much better experience than what teams are using now, but also leveraging AI that you can ask that audit trail what you're looking for in that data set. It translates that ask that you provided into queries on that data, and then presents you that data in a review type of mode. But we're not stopping there either. You can actually save that data set and then run listings, run visualizations, look for outliers, so to speak, in that data within other areas of our data platform.